Coming up, we break down the 2023 Indian Gaming Association's annual conference. A filmmaker shares her latest project from the Phoenix Film Festival. And what does Indigenous masculinity look like? Hip-hop artist Tall Paul weighs in. I'm Aaliyah Chavez. Join us for those interviews, plus headlines from the ICT Newscast.
This program is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people.
Arizona State University welcomes 3,500 Indigenous students from Arizona and across the nation. It serves one of the largest populations of Indigenous students among U.S. colleges and universities. We created a sense of place for tribal nations to create futures of their own making through community outreach and research, taught by world-class Indigenous faculty where they see a reflection of themselves and their experiences. Find community at ASU.
Amadawa Hopa. Thank you for joining us. We start today in Montana, where a member of the Blackfeet Nation Business Council has resigned. 3 people familiar with the situation said Tim Davis resigned last week after the council charged him with 3 counts of misconduct. That's according to reporting by the Missoulian. In a resolution issued last week, Davis was charged in tribal court for threatening a public official. He was also accused of knowing of a crime and, quote, allowing the suspect to elude. The council took to Facebook to inform the community, adding that Davis is presumed innocent until proven guilty. Last spring, the council removed Davis as chairman of the Blackfeet Nation after 9 people were arrested at his home on drug-related charges. ICT has reached out to Davis for a comment, and he says he has no comment at this time. The council is now holding a special election for Davis's seat on April 25th. The United States Postal Service is reaching Native communities through a new initiative. ICT's Pacey Smith-Garcia has the story.
The next time you need a stamp, there are new Indigenous options to choose. The Art of the Skateboard collection was unveiled at a ceremony in Phoenix, Arizona last week. 2 of the 4 stamps in the collection feature artwork from Native artists. The celebration revealed the creations of Dior Greenwood, which showcase Navajo elements.
I wanted to capture the morning and evening star, something that has been consistent throughout my life. The colors captured are very revered and loved by many people across the nation. The eagle feathers on the board are to pay respects to, of course, the post office, but to the elderly in my community.
Crystal Whorls designs incorporate key meanings from Tlingit communities.
I can wear my regalia and it will have my clan crest on it, and someone will know who I am, who my family is, their relationship to me, and our history, our stories, and how we should approach one another.
The event also showcased flute music from Levi Greenwood, who is Dior's brother. The stamps go beyond just the artwork. The artists hope it will inspire future generations.
You see how far it's brought me? They're going to pick up right after where I left off and go even farther than I did, and that is the genuine and true hope for this stamp.
The Forever stamps cost 63 cents each, or you can purchase a sheet of 20 for just over $12. They can be purchased online or in store. In Phoenix, Arizona, Pacey Smith-Garcia, ICT News.
A proposed bill in the state of Illinois is aiming to teach Native American history in schools. The legislation passed the State House last week and was introduced by State Representative Maurice West. If passed into law, it would create the Native American Curriculum Task Force, which will help shape what school boards adopt into their local lesson plans. The legislator says he worked with several Native leaders in the state to craft the bill. Starting in 2024, every public elementary and high school would require instruction on Native history in the Midwest. It also stipulates Native American genocide be taught in addition to lessons on the Holocaust. Aside from history, the bill also requires the contributions of Native people be taught as well. The bill will now head to the state Senate for consideration. Staying with education news, in New Mexico, the first accredited doctoral program has just been launched from a tribal college or university. Navajo Technical University is the first among more than 30 accredited tribal colleges and universities across the country to offer this high-level degree. The PhD in Dene Culture and Language Sustainability is dedicated to supporting the nation's knowledgeways. A heavy focus of the curriculum will be community-based research and internships that help students gain practical and real-world experience. Navajo Tech President Elmer Guy says this represents a milestone for the university and a commitment to preserve the nation's heritage. The more than 20 students who have applied are vying for 5 coveted spots in the inaugural class that begins this fall. And those are the headlines for the ICT Newscast. The Phoenix Film Festival is an 11-day event that shows over 250 films. Things You Know But Cannot Explain was selected for the category of Native American directed shorts. It was co-directed by Michelle Hernandez. Her film uses images from Wiyot artist Rick Bardo to explore reclaiming identity and culture as an Indigenous person. Let's take a quick look at the trailer. Michelle is here with us virtually to share more. Hi there, Michelle.
Hi, thank you for having me today.
What was it like working in that film style, and how was it decided to use stop motion animation?
So this was my first time making an animation. I normally do live action narrative. I had decided to do animation because I wanted to partner with Chantel Jung, who's Inuit, and she is a stop motion artist herself. And so I reached out to her. I felt that this fit my uncle's work, and so I think we did a really good job at telling his story.
This film showed at the Phoenix Film Festival last weekend. Tell us how that went.
Oh, it went really well. This was a sold-out screening. We were surprised by that. Me and Chantel had talked about it beforehand, and we're assuming maybe only 5 people were showing up. And so when we ended up going, it was a full theater of people that are ready to watch our films and for other films for the festival in the Native Shorts section.
I understand this film is part of the Bardo project that you're working on. Tell us more about the artist and what it means to be able to highlight his work.
Yeah, so my uncle Rick Bartow was a Wiyot artist. He was actually a prolific artist. I did not know how prolific he was until I did this project. It came about because my co-artistic director had seen his work in a museum and was like, oh, we should reach out. Well, she had told the tribe we should reach out and do a play. Originally, it was supposed to be a play about him. COVID unfortunately happened, and so she had to do the grant that she won and figure out what to do. And she had come upon my project Duke and realized I was a filmmaker and brought me on board to rewrite the grant to make 4 short films. And after that, the Bartow Project and 4 short films came about.
What messages do you want people to walk away with when they watch this film?
So when they watch this film, I want them to walk away knowing kind of my uncle's life and his journey of being Wiyot, and also reclaiming and bringing back ceremonies and traditions and identity. I also want people to realize that our ceremonies and our traditions, I never like to say that they're lost. I like to say that they're sleeping and that we're going to wake them up. It just takes some time. And so that's what essentially I want people to realize. It's a love letter to Native nations who are going through that journey of bringing ceremonies back.
How did you actually get all of these pieces of artwork to show up on the screen in the way that you did with your animation?
So we worked with the Bartow Estate, run by, it's co-run by my Aunt Karen. And so she gave all the artists access to all of my uncle's work, which is a whole catalog It was a journey to go through all of it. We did know essentially we wanted the crow to be the main character. My Uncle Rick always considered himself a crow. And so when you watch the animation, of course, you'll see different types of crows in his artwork shown through the film. But yeah, it was a long journey picking and choosing. I remember at one point we probably had about 800 images, including crows, bears. We had asked for all the animals and they provided them, and we were like, okay, let's do this. But yeah, we narrowed it down to what we have in the animation.
You know, what's really interesting to me is apps like TikTok have really popularized this idea of stop motion. I see it a lot when I watch videos like that. Was that something like that you knew would kind of take off, given that that's something we see on social media a lot?
So I had always wanted to do stop motion. I've always kind of wanted to transition into animation, but I'm a little afraid of it because I'm not originally an animator. And so I think for me, it's an easier way to go into animation because it's a little bit of live action, if that makes sense. You're still moving things and making images, but you're also making an animation, if that makes sense. But yeah, I think it was really great because other people have access to it. As you said, TikTok, Instagram, making videos. It is a process. Just if anyone wants to take it on, it's a process. We have about 1,000 images because they're picture by picture by picture. It's a little different than when you animate a live action. I have much respect for all stop motion animators.
Well, filmmaker Michelle Hernandez, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Tall Paul wears many hats in Native communities, including being a hip-hop artist and inspirational speaker. I sat down with him in Phoenix last week. He shared some of his latest projects and about his most important role, which is being a dad. Take a look. The last time we touched base with you, you had just released your album on Jim Thorpe. What updates do you have on that?
Yeah, so the album's been out since November, I believe I released it, and it's got a lot of good reception. I've been in contact a little bit with some of the Bright Path Strong team who are behind the production of the movie. You know, who knows where that could go. But I've got their support. It's been an amazing reception that I've got for that album though, and now I'm working on a new EP with my group mate Twin City Tone. We go by Red Poet Society as a Native hip hop duo. And I'm also working on a new solo project. I don't have a name for it yet, but yeah, that's kind of what I'm up to. Other than that, you know, kind of going on tour right now, just doing a lot of different shows around the country.
For your new EP, what kinds of topics or conversations will you have?
Yeah, so my new solo EP, I'm gonna be talking about, I actually wanted to conceptualize musically some of my sayings or hashtags that I use on social media, which are like smudge life, you know, just being about spiritually connecting in my life, you know, giving thanks in the morning and laying out my tobacco, being connected with my gratitude because a lot of positive things result from that when I do that and I get in that mindset. Another one is Fumbled the Baggage, which is kind of interesting story behind that. You know, there was a show opportunity that kind of fell through because there was some mix up and miscommunication between myself and the organizers and some of the other artists. And somebody, you know, kind of was coming at me like, oh man, you fumbled the bag. I was like, no, I just fumbled the baggage, you know, like all money ain't good money, you know, if something doesn't align with my morals or something like that, I'm cool with missing that opportunity or whatever, you know, and just taking the opportunities that are meant for me. So that's the concept behind that one. Another one is Rap Game Jim Thorpe. Jim Thorpe was a big inspiration of mine, as we discussed in our previous conversation. And, you know, Rap Game Jim Thorpe is just, I think the concept for that song is I'm just gonna rap hard, you know, just like represent the spirit of Jim Thorpe, you know. He was known for being a very good, talented athlete, but also an activist for Native actors and just good, positive representation of Natives in film. And he stood up for Natives, so I'm gonna try to represent his spirit on that track and just have a, you know, aggressive tone and delivery on that song. And there's some more to it than that. There's a few other songs, but yeah, that's kind of the spirit of that project that I'm working on.
I saw you recently hosted a podcast. Tell us about the topic and why it was important to you to talk about that.
Oh yeah, so I actually did that interview with my friend Lila here, and it was kind of like this, just a natural conversation. We talked a lot about indigenous masculinity and what that means. We talked about, my artistry, my recent album, The Story of Jim Thorpe. It just kind of went wherever we took it, as a real organic conversation. Probably one of my favorite podcast interviews I've done. I just love it when I can connect with, a host of a podcast and we just conversate and it's not so strict around these rigid questions and things like that. So, yeah, but that was about my artistry, just kind of about my fatherhood, growing up, just my life story and so on.
I think Indigenous masculinity is something that we don't talk about enough. If there was, one point on that topic that you wanted Native communities to really know, what would that be?
Yeah, the first one that comes to mind, and I don't know that it's necessarily restricted to Indigenous masculinity, but masculinity in general is opening up to the idea that, this concept where, men ain't supposed to cry or men ain't supposed to show emotions, like that's real restrictive of our emotional maturity, and I kind of grew up influenced by that to the point where it's tough for me to even shed a tear if I'm feeling that, it just won't come sometimes, or oftentimes. And that's kind of crazy, to think about, it's almost an inability. It's not that I'm incapable, it just takes a lot for something like that to happen. And I want to see more openness to that in our community. I tell my son, and he takes after me a lot. And I tell him, man, it's okay for boys to be vulnerable. It's okay for men to be vulnerable. I was taught wrong, and I want to make sure I teach you right so that you're more comfortable with that, because a more complete man who's in touch with both their feminine and their masculine and, all of these different energies that make us human is going to be a stronger man always, kind of like a warrior in a garden, so to speak. So that's what I would speak on, just evolving as human beings and spiritual beings and allowing ourselves to be our full selves.
How do you think for kids who are growing up now, that's something 10 years from now or 20 years from now, that's something that they could really integrate into their life?
I think that is definitely on a positive trajectory. I feel like nowadays in general, we are becoming more open to these ideas that have been restricted by colonial mindsets and, teachings. So I think we're on the right track. I feel like there are a lot more open-minded parents like myself trying to set things on the right track. So I think it's getting there. I think we're making good progress.
Well, good. Well, I've enjoyed this conversation. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
The Indian Gaming Association is hosting its trade show and convention in San Diego, California right now. It is in its 37th year and is the longest running event of its kind. IGA is a hub for tribal leaders and casino executives. ICT's Mark Trahant has this interview from the event with regular contributor John Tasuda.
So we're at the Indian Gaming Association conference in San Diego, and let's just start by talking about gaming. It's really phenomenal what kind of an industry it is in Indian country.
Completely unexpected. You go back to the 1980s, and you look at the early, the work done in Capitol Hill and the reports that were coming out, and some people say maybe a little conservative, but Indian gaming at that point was $100 million maybe, spread across the entire country. And there's lots of tribes that make that much in 1 year now.
I actually remember I was covering that for the Arizona Republic, and so much of that came because first tribes won in court.
Yes.
And then pressed Congress for a long-term solution.
Yep. Yeah, some people have different views on IGRA, but one of the things that it did, I think that people don't think about enough, is that there were several small hurdles that tribes need to get over to be able to get to where they are now with full casino gaming, resorts and stuff. And having the legislation was able to smooth that out and allow them a straight path forward on that.
One of the trends that I'm really interested in having you comment on is the acquisition of mainstream gaming by tribes both in Nevada and other places. And how does that change the picture?
Well, very interesting. I think that in some ways a natural progression. Tribes have been at the forefront in many ways of innovations in gaming since they entered it. Some of those because of some legal requirements and some of the deals they made with states, but they've led the way in technology, and also they've led the way when it comes to giving back to communities and stuff. Even in Las Vegas now, you see much more interaction with the public gaming companies, with the community, giving back, foundations, et cetera, things that tribes have done from the beginning. So they've really had a positive impact, I think, on the whole gaming industry that way. And, I think they seem to be welcomed in by the public gaming companies into their brotherhood, if you want to call it that. But certainly is, I think, a step forward for tribes to be able to take the expertise they've developed and move it into this new arena. And it'll be interesting to see long term, public gaming companies rise and fall like that. And if tribes can continue to have the steady progression that they've had in their own gaming, that'll be a great trend.
Well, and from that 100 million initially, tribes are now about 40% of the gaming market.
Right. Yeah. And really, for those who are fans of the gaming industry, they really led the revolution in this country. The expansion of gaming as an entertainment to many more states. At the time, there was really only 2 states, Nevada and New Jersey, right? And in New Jersey, only 1 city that was able to offer it. And now we have states all over the country that are offering it. And it's because of Indian gaming.
Thomas Jefferson said it's the only tax people willingly pay.
Absolutely.
I want to ask you about future tension, and that's over sports betting. Mm-hmm. And where do you see that unfolding?
I think just like every other aspect of gaming, there are a lot of tensions in different areas of it. I mean, there's policy tensions. There's just the public the competition between public companies and tribes in a small space in one state. That happens. But these things, as they have before, I think will smooth themselves out over time. The tribes and probably with public companies to be able to offer a broader array will probably enter into more partnerships. I think that will be the long-term trend. And the good news for those who like sports wagering and sports betting, I think those options are going to open up further in a legal way. You'll have dependable people who, if you win big, they're going to pay you and not take off. So I think the long-term trend is will be great for the industry, great for the public. It's just a question of how long it takes to work out those wrinkles.
And it's probably important for folks to know that sports gaming is huge.
Yes.
Already, even without changes.
We saw that years ago when tribes first started looking at it, and we looked internationally. It's people talk about internet gaming, but really, internet gaming internationally is sports betting, sports wagering. It's like 90% of the internet gaming, fun, the entertainment that goes on. And so I think that will be, again, a great avenue as tribes move into it and they partner with other folks, to offer this community-wide across states.
One of the aspects of sports betting that I think is so intriguing is how it could change viewership of sports.
Yes.
Because right now, if you're from a small school and we're in San Diego and San Diego State made the Final Four, you may or may not care. But if you have a wager about San Diego State, suddenly you'll be watching every single game on television.
Right. And one of the trends that has been happening internationally for a long time in sports wagering, but we're seeing it more and more here in the States, is sort of the Michael Jordan effect, right? So it didn't really matter which team Michael Jordan played for. People followed him, right? And so there's this attachment to specific athletes. And then, of course, people have some attachment to particular, like schools, et cetera. But across the board, it's more sports figures. And they will follow them and wager on them as opposed to wagering on a team.
I want to shift gears and get into the news and talk about the House Energy Bill.
Yes.
That's going to be tough, one, to get through the House, and then two, where does it go from there?
It will be interesting. I think they'll get a pretty good package done in the House, I think. They'll get most of what they want. What I hear, the indications are that the Republican conference has done a great job listening to all their members, as they promised, and this package now reflects a really broad consensus for them. What will be interesting for them moving forward is they're going to press this hard, both with the administration and in the Senate, There are Senate Democrats who will support large pieces of this as well. But at the end of the day, that means some pieces that House members fought really hard for are going to fall off. And how they deal with that internally is going to be interesting to see in the House Republican Conference.
And already the administration's threatening a veto, so that raises the stakes even higher on this.
It certainly does, but they're always threatened that, I think, because there are challenges to very specific pieces of President Biden's climate agenda, et cetera, that are in this House bill. Again, we'll see how that plays out over time. It'll take a long time. This is a big piece for the Python to digest, right? It's going to take them some time to work their way through it. But I think there will be pieces that the administration will want, though. Other things maybe that aren't in there, but that can fit in a way. So there'll be a give and take. And at the end of the day, I'd be surprised if it's a veto. If it makes it through both houses, I'd be surprised if there's a veto.
Thank you, John. It's always a pleasure, and especially nice in person.
Absolutely, and great to be in San Diego.
We send a special thanks to all of our team there in San Diego, including Mark Trahant, Quindrea Yazzie, and Polly Dinette-Claw. And that's a slice of our Indigenous world. For all the latest, visit ictnews.org. From all of us in the newsroom, stay safe, my relatives.
This program is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people.